Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Sam Keith Day and that is why we are looking at this comic you see before you. Before I get into that though, we're going to talk real quick about Big Baby Reviews being on the road to 250 subs. That would be kind of our own personal little first milestone. Once we hit that 250 mark, we will have and create a special vid for you guys. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do want to thank my 160 plus subscribers as of today. You are looking at the analytics, only about 11% of my viewership. I was very surprised and shocked to see that 89% of people who are watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you are in that category, please, I implore you, if you're so inclined, subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. It helps motivate us in creating more content and helps get us out there to other people. So if your friends, your neighbors, let them know about the channel if they're into this kind of stuff, and let them know they can like and subscribe. Without further ado, now we are going to talk about this comic here. So in actual chronological order, I've done, Sam Keith at Marvel, and I've already, in the earlier episodes, did his last kind of run on Marvel Comics Presents. I already did a review of that. So the next logical issue chronologically would be Darker Image, which I've also done already. And then MAXX #1. So I should be doing MAXX #1, but I remembered that I had this stuff here. And even though this came later, it is meant to be somewhat, I mean, it's tough to say really once we go through this. A little bit of an oddity here. But chronologically, theoretically, at least in the numbering, it comes before MAXX #1. And really what this is a bit of a behind the scenes of the MAXX, right? Back in the day with no internet and stuff, if you want to know more about your favorite characters, well, it was kind of tough. And Wizard had come up with this promotion where, you sent, if I remember this correctly, you bought an issue of Wizard, there was a certificate in there, you sent money and shipping money to get this comic, an exclusive MAXX ½ It says free, so I guess just the shipping is what it cost. I don't remember exactly, but something like that. And I was a huge MAXX fan, so I definitely wanted that and got it. This is not my original copy. I got rid of that years ago, but I found it again. It was pretty cheap, so maybe not as exclusive and limited as they claim back then. One thing I want to talk about right away before cracking it open on the cover, I do like this presentation here. This kind of deal back here is very 90s. This texture here, kind of blurry texture. It is, I think, more so representative of the Wizard kind of design team than the Image one. And that is reflected also in the color on the cover here, because it's signed Keith and McNabb. McNabb, I remember, would color a lot of the Wizard covers, and this does resemble more his color palette and his color choices, where, for example, like even this purple for the MAXX is a lot more blue and purple of a purple rather than the kind of more magenta toned MAXX one that we're used to. Like you can see this image here where it's almost magenta pink. Here this is quite blue, so it's a little bit of a departure, a little different, but I don't hate it necessarily. It's just odd, but I do think like he kind of used almost the same purple for the lettering here. Might work up here, Wizard Presents, but this in here for some reason I just feel is a little hard to see. Obviously you do have, if you see that on the camera, some sort of a reflective effect, but just maybe not the best choice there design wise. So kind of an interesting cover. I always thought it was funny that the MAXX, kind of looks like he's always telling you to fuck off. A part of me thought that was hilarious as a kid, still kind of do. Childish maybe. All right, let's crack her open, have a look. So what this consisted of, you have it here. We'll look at it real quick. The features, you had a talk with MAXX creator Sam Keith, a quick interview. You had the exclusive half story. So there's an actual, serialized comic book story in here. And then you have a sketchbook, right? So the production, as I said, the design and stuff is definitely from Wizard, because the paper is not like regular comic book paper. It's like a Wizard issue. And I would say that even the paper for the cover here is more like a Wizard issue. So definitely, I think 100% a Wizard production, other than the artwork by Sam Keith. So, I mean, not much to say about the interview. It's fairly short, right? It's like this and this. It's not even a full page, really. And just the same kind of bland questions that Wizard would ask in around that time, right? Is this book going to cross over with other Image titles? The same old questions, nothing too deep and nothing I'm going to, spend too much time on. Interesting to know that in around this time is when this issue of Spawn was coming out. So this is, I think I said it, but this is 1993. So here, this is kind of an interesting story. It's like, you know, the MAXX is sitting on a stoop with these kids, and they're all given their different versions of what they think the origins of the MAXX, where he comes from, what is his origin, and they don't know that this hobo they're sitting next to actually is the MAXX, right? So, credits by Sam Keith with Bill Messner-Loebs. Script, Mike Heisler letters, and Steve Oliff and all the optics are doing colors. So Sam Keith is doing plot and art, right? So you get some pretty cool Sam Keith artwork in here, even though it's a fairly short story. And yet you just basically have every character. This character thinks he's a space alien, and he crashed on Earth, right? Another one says, suppose he was a guy with a crappy job and no future, living out of a furnished room. Suppose one day he found a mask, and when he slid it on, it hit his brain like lightning. He woke up in a place that was sort of like Australia and sort of like the beginning of time, and he was a hero there with costume and the strength of 20 men. So this is the MAXX talking. But when he came back to this world, he was trapped in the mask and his old life was gone. And the kids are like, well, I guess that could have happened. But how'd he get his claws then, if he wasn't a government experiment? So this story's pretty funny. I like this just as an idea. I think it's pretty clever with the way his gloves are designed. I don't know if he came up with that before or after, but I think it's a good way of explaining it. Kind of surreal and mythic and legendary. He thrust his hands into boiling lava, and when they came out, they were changed, made invulnerable, stained and tempered by the sulfurous rock. So this kind of, you know, bleedy kind of thing is, I guess, representative of the lava. Just thought that was great. Things like this, right? Like, did this kid draw this on his Etch-a-Sketch, or, you know, on early versions of Photoshop or something? You know what I mean? Or even Paint on Word. On Microsoft. I like the alien story better. I bet he lives in a vast secret headquarters with a gang of wild young assistants and a funny Chinese cook. And he has a deadly training room and a scientific lab, and, you know, not sure what that's referring to. Maybe a bit of the X-Men or something. Not sure. If you know the answer, comment below. Nah, Kent, you know that's not real enough. All real heroes are tormented loners. He lives in the sewers and eats stolen linguine. And every night he rises from his own grave to fight crime with his maxi wing and maxi cycle and maxi belt. So here I guess we're getting a mix of like Batman, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and possibly like Spawn or some sort of zombie character, right? Interesting. I feel like some of these concepts, just that he's thrown out here in the story, could make for interesting comics. So the MAXX chimes in. They don't know he's the MAXX. Sounds good, but I think he's just another homeless bum living in the dumpsters and drifting from shelter to shelter. And I don't think the kids really enjoy that there. Nah, that's too much just downer, mister. I think he's got an orb of fear and he lives in the fortress of shadows. So they're going through this, and local bully shows up, right? And this kid's fed up, so he's going to stand up to him. And the bully starts saying kind of some messed up stuff to them, you know. What you gonna do, kid? Talk me to death? Yeah, right. Listen, punk. Smartmouth kids disappear in this neighborhood. Like, he's saying some pretty messed up stuff. Maybe I got a knife in my pocket. Maybe I know where you sleep at night. I can kill you. I can kill your folks. I can... And, of course, MAXX just pulls off the glove and reveals, you know, his spiked fist. Scares our bully away. And of course the kids have seen nothing of the MAXX back here, so they believe that this guy's been scared by him. Nice kind of little bit of selfless helping out the community action there by the MAXX. And that's the end of the story. The best part of all this, even though I enjoyed the story, always nice to have this certificate of authenticity that came with it. Put that aside. Yeah, so the best part, the story was fun, but this is what I enjoyed the most seeing. Because back then, when can you see artists, you know, just their pencils or just even just their basic ideas and sketchbooks, and I don't want to say crappy drawings, but quick drawing sketches, right? So loved seeing this, right? Early iterations of the mask, seeing how his art looked in pencils, right? Just back then it was just rare to see pencils, right? So even this was just great. Even though this different version of the MAXX here, really enjoy it. Again, very Sam Keith in the textures. Love all that stuff. The hairy belly, hilarious. The aviator hat. The Max's original jaw was huge. He also had to get over a major drooling problem. Okay, glad he got rid of that part. That's, I mean, it's a cool visual, but a little goes a long way, I guess, with drool. Still got a bit of drool here, right? Max later loses the cap and goggles, but he's still drooling. Yeah, eventually he cut that out, I guess. And real quick, you can see a page from issue 1, which we will be reviewing soon. Next episode, actually. You get the layout here, right, for that page in pencil form. So you can see how little detail there is generally, you know, to just get the basics down, the composition and stuff, and how a lot of the feathering and the line weight and stuff gets decided in the inking. And that is basically it for MAXX, right? Was it worth the wait? I mean, I would have liked more story, more sketchbook material. It's a little thin, to be honest. But back then, it was that's all you can get, so we were pretty satisfied with that. Later on, Wizard actually put out a second version. So they called it Mini Comic 2, so the numbering just is kind of odd and doesn't work. And by this point, I was out. I wasn't reading the Max anymore. So I knew nothing about this, and this actually came, it says at the bottom, exclusive supplement to Wizard 51. So it just came with the Wizard this time. You didn't have to ship out and order it or whatever. And you can see already quite a change in the artwork of Sam Kieth, right? So he as the Max moved along, and we'll see as we look through the issues when we start that Max run, he started integrating different styles of art and started doing a lot more painting, right? So this is an example of that, where it's a lot looser, a little sketchier, but still recognizable as Sam Kieth. I mean, I don't hate it. We're still getting the kind of same volumes and stuff that I like from Sam Kieth, and some of the textures and design work. So, you know, I do think generally it's a little looser, so maybe I do prefer pen and ink. Because even that's naturally loose. This is even looser. But I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty cool, and it's still fairly consistent with the style. And this one here basically is once again a lot of sketchbook material starting off with. So some older designs of the Max back in the day. So I'll read a little bit because you'll get a bit of an insight of where this came from. Way back in '92, when Jim Lee asked me to do a story for a book he and Rob were doing, Darker Image, right? I took an old design for a character Marvel had rejected years ago, and I tried different colors on him. So this was a character Marvel had rejected, and as he says, he just tried different color patterns and stuff, right? You can see the same sketch repeated here with just different color. My friends agreed on purple and yellow, but if I'd caught them in a different mood, Max might have been red and green instead. And you know, you can see some of the elements that disappeared. The costume did change a lot. He already had the spiky finger. Covered his whole body instead of having the arms out, and the arm hair, the Sam Kieth arm hair disappeared, at least for a while, because when the Max's costume gets ripped, you do see that glorious body hair, and this long kind of ponytail here. I feel like this is just a little more imagey, or an image kind of character, and eventually he made it more of a Sam Kieth character, different enough from all the image stuff to really not be, I guess, as closely associated with all that, you know, typical stereotypical image character and art. You've got color layouts here for an issue, not quite sure how that works, and just a bunch of character designs. So just like the series starts to veer off and focus more on the Max's supporting cast, right? So do the sketches here, right? Because I guess he's got to work those out. So this was pretty cool, but like I said, back in the day, didn't have it. Really like this kind of look at the Max here. Some earlier sketches, I guess. Almost more bird-like in a way, kind of weird. And because I'm not too familiar with the storyline here, I'm not quite sure, but that's a character I didn't encounter in my initial run of reading the Max. And I know these characters appeared, I believe, but I've just only seen them on covers. So I will say this second kind of special Max issue, what they call mini comic number 2, you know, the negative compared to the MAXX is it doesn't have a story. The positive is that it has a lot more sketchbook material. It is basically only sketchbook material. And, you know, maybe I appreciate it just a little bit more because I'm getting more of that backstory. You know, as a kid, If I had still been collecting Wizard and the MAXX and I'd gotten this, I would have been pretty happy, because again, even back then, finding kind of back material sketches and stuff from artists was a lot harder than it is today getting access to it or seeing it in print, right? So that is the MAXX Mini Comic 2, and as well we looked at the MAXX.5. Do you have this issue? Did you enjoy the material within? Did you not? Were you a MAXX fan back in the day? What do you think of that series, and how it kind of, what direction it went into? Let me know in the comments. If you like the videos, reminding you we're on the road to 250 subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel if you do and you enjoy the content. I hope everyone out there has a great day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KIngCOMICS.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.